You ever notice how Palpatine just sort of wins constantly? Like no matter what trilogy you're watching, he's always 10 steps ahead, sipping on some invisible Sith tea while everyone else is panicking. The Republic collapses, the Jedi get wiped out, the Chosen One falls to the dark side, and somehow the guy who looks like a melting candle ends up ruling the galaxy with no one even realizing it was his plan the whole time. He doesn't walk into the Senate with a red lightsaber and a villain monologue. No, he smiles politely, plays nice, and gaslights the entire galaxy into thinking he's their savior. Meanwhile, he's engineering a galaxy-wide war just to promote himself from Chancellor to Emperor like it's a LinkedIn career move. The man played both sides of a war he started, and then got applauded for ending it. And the Jedi. Oh man, the Jedi. They're meditating on prophecies, while this dude is literally sitting in their group chat planning a galactic dictatorship. He turns Anakin with one opera story and some compliments. Meanwhile, the council's still debating if feelings are a liability. Like seriously, the greatest warriors in the galaxy couldn't sense that the guy radiating dark side energy was also the one scheduling their demise. What's wild is he barely lifts a finger. He doesn't need henchmen or flashy armor. He just manipulates people into destroying themselves. Count Dooku, Grievous, the entire Senate, the clones, even Anakin, all pawns in a game only he knew was being played. He's like a Sith chess master, and everyone else is still figuring out where the horses go. And let's not pretend the sequels did anything to dethrone him either. The man literally dies, and still comes back like, surprise, I was here the whole time, again. Say what you want about the writing, but the fact that Palpatine keeps showing up proves one thing: he's not just part of Star Wars, he is Star Wars. And he's been playing the long game longer than most fans have been alive. In this video, we're breaking down why Emperor Palpatine isn't just the best Star Wars villain, he's the best movie villain of all time. We'll talk about how he played the Jedi like a fiddle, turned a democracy into a dictatorship with zero resistance, and managed to outlive his own death just by planning ahead. Strap in, because this is the tale of how one man beat the entire galaxy with nothing but a plan and a smirk. Let's be real. When people talk about iconic villains, they always go for the obvious picks. You hear names like the Joker, Hannibal Lecter, Voldemort, maybe even Thanos if they're feeling trendy. But Palpatine, he barely gets a mention outside the Star Wars fandom, which is wild. Because the guy didn't just terrorize people, he rewrote the entire galaxy with a creepy smile and zero screen time for half a trilogy. What makes him so fascinating is that we barely even saw him coming. In The Phantom Menace, he's just this soft-spoken politician in the background. Meanwhile, he's literally puppeteering both sides of a planetary crisis, like it's Casual Tuesday, and somehow, nobody questions it. That's not just evil, that's evil with a resume. He plays the Senate like a piano, gains emergency powers by pretending to be helpless, then uses those powers to orchestrate a galaxy-wide war he started himself. He basically created the Clone Wars to wear down the Jedi, justify a military state, and make himself look like the hero. It's manipulation at a scale most movie villains can't even dream of. And the best part is, he does it with patience. He doesn't rush in with capes and lightning. He waits. For decades, slowly corrupting Anakin, eroding democracy, and gaslighting everyone into thinking he's the solution to their problems. All while hiding in plain sight. So how did this quiet old man with a weird grin pull off the greatest long con in cinematic history? That's the question. And it only gets deeper from here. Now, here's the part that drives me crazy. Palpatine was right there the whole time. And not one Jedi, not even Yoda, had the sense to ask why this one guy kept gaining more power every time something blew up. It's infuriating. Because the warning signs weren't just blinking, they were on fire. The Jedi sat in their ivory tower, while a Sith Lord sat 3 seats away from them at every council meeting. They had the most powerful Force users in the galaxy, and not one of them sensed the dark side, literally sitting next to them in a Senate robe. It wasn't subtle, it was straight up embarrassing. And then you've got Anakin, the Chosen One, the guy who was supposed to bring balance to the Force, and the council spends most of their time sidelining him, talking down to him, or treating him like a liability. Meanwhile, Palpatine's over here offering him friendship, understanding, and a full-on Sith starter pack. Guess who he's gonna trust? Even when they finally realize the truth, it's too late. Mace Windu shows up like I got this, and walks right into a trap. No backup, no plan, just vibes. And when Anakin makes the obvious bad choice, suddenly everyone's shocked, as if they didn't spend 3 films ignoring every red flag. It's frustrating because Palpatine didn't just outsmart the Jedi, he exposed how arrogant and blind they had become, and they handed him the keys to the galaxy while congratulating themselves for being wise. The real gut punch, though, is that Palpatine didn't just destroy the Jedi physically, he broke them spiritually. He didn't just kill their bodies, he shattered their purpose. The Order was meant to be guardians of peace. Instead, they became generals in a war they didn't understand, playing into his hands every step of the way. Think about it. The Jedi who survived Obi-Wan, Yoda, Ahsoka, they didn't just walk away from a fight. They walked away from a legacy that had failed them. They saw their friends die, their students turn, and their beliefs crumble under the weight of a single man's manipulation. And that's a grief that never really heals. Anakin's fall wasn't just a personal tragedy, it was engineered by Palpatine from day one. He isolated him, praised him, fed his fears, and then flipped the switch at just the right moment. That's not just villainy, that's cruelty dressed as mentorship. And the Jedi couldn't stop it because they didn't see him as a threat until he was standing over them with a red lightsaber. Even the Republic itself died with a whimper, not a bang. It didn't collapse, it voted itself out of existence, and the people cheered, because Palpatine made them believe it was the only option left. That kind of manipulation leaves scars that last longer than lightsaber wounds. It's not just what he took, it's what he left behind. A galaxy haunted by what it allowed, and broken by the lies it believed. And here's where it gets terrifyingly impressive. Because if you strip away the robes and lightning and raspy voice, what you're left with is a man who mastered every system in front of him. Government, religion, war, emotion, all bent to his will without anyone realizing until it was far too late. He didn't use brute strength. He barely lifted a finger until the very end. What he used was information. He knew how people thought, how they feared, how they hoped, and he twisted all of it to make himself indispensable. That's not power in the traditional sense. That's power in its purest form. Most villains want revenge, or dominance, or money. Palpatine wanted control of destiny itself. He reshaped the Force's chosen one, redefined balance, and rewrote the entire galactic future from behind a desk. And when he finally stepped into the open, it wasn't with a roar, it was with a whisper that echoed for decades. Even in death, his influence lingered. The Empire didn't die, splintered. The First Order rose from its ashes, carrying his blueprints. And somehow, despite being thrown down a reactor shaft, the guy still found a way to haunt the galaxy like a ghost with a business plan. Say what you want about evil, but when it comes to mastery of the long game, Palpatine makes every other movie villain look like they're still filling out their evil resume. And yet, even with all that chaos, all that destruction, Palpatine never fully won, because in the end, he underestimated the one thing he could never control: human connection. He saw love as weakness, saw loyalty as a tool, and never understood that those very things would be his undoing. It was love that brought Anakin back. Not power, not prophecy, just a father seeing his son in danger and making a choice. One simple act of selflessness that unraveled years of manipulation. That's what he never saw coming. That people, when pushed hard enough, still choose to protect what they care about. And even after his return in the sequels, with all his tech and cloning and creepy cult vibes, it still didn't matter. Because at the end of the day, a bunch of ragtag pilots, a scavenger, and a stormtrooper turned hero reminded the galaxy that one tyrant doesn't get to write the whole story. Palpatine may have outwitted everyone, but he never understood hope. He never saw the strength in vulnerability, the power in forgiveness, or the resilience of people who refuse to give up. He won for a while, but Star Wars is about comebacks, and even the strongest villain couldn't kill that. So, here's the truth. Palpatine is the greatest villain in movie history, not because he was the scariest, or the loudest, or even the most violent, but because he was the smartest, the most patient, the most devastatingly strategic force of evil to ever hit the screen. He didn't just break heroes, he made them question themselves. He didn't need armies, he made his enemies build them for him. Every step of the way, he was 5 moves ahead, while everyone else was still figuring out who the bad guy was supposed to be. But for all his brilliance, there's a tragic irony, because Palpatine never really understood people. He could manipulate them, yes, but he never connected with them, and that's why he ultimately failed. He built an empire, but never inspired loyalty. He ruled the galaxy, but never earned love. And that's the lesson hidden beneath all the lightning and deception, that control isn't the same as connection. That fear might win battles, but it can't hold a legacy. Palpatine wrote the darkest chapter in Star Wars history, but he couldn't write the ending, because the one thing he never understood was that stories like this don't end with power. They end with people choosing to fight back anyway. Thank you for watching the whole video. I make videos because of my love for Star Wars and Marvel. I've been asked countless times how I get my subtitles, and I generate them automatically with a tool I built. That same tool can be used here on my website. It's completely free and doesn't require signing up. My website contains the subtitle generator that is perfect for any video, blogging post, where you can sign up with your email and receive notifications for when I post, and also my 3 channels. Critical Analysis Hub focuses on Star Wars and Marvel movies. Critical Analysis Hub Plus looks at Star Wars and Marvel shows. And Critical Analysis Hub XP centers on video games, like The Last of Us series, Jedi Survivor, and GTA 5. Thank you for being a fan.